Your life right now is being created by your beliefs. Those beliefs could help get you closer to the things you're really wanting to experience in life, or they could actually be holding you back. If you want to experience a change, you're going to have to change your beliefs. So how do you do that, especially if everything in your life right now is proving those beliefs to be true? Well, I'm going to be showing you visually why that's happening. I'm going to be showing you 3 different things you'll need to do so that you can change any belief that you have and start creating the belief system that takes you towards your goals so that you can experience the life that you really want to live and the one that you really deserve to have. First, I want you to understand how powerful your beliefs are, and also understand that a belief is not objectively true. A belief is something that you formed, a perception of yourself, of the world, of how you're supposed to be treated. Neville Goddard calls this an assumption. This experience happened and you took this meaning about yourself. And you've been living as if that were fact, as if that were true. So the powerful part about this is that basically creates a specific lens. Another way you can say this is a perception. I want to visually show you what this means. You're struggling in relationships and you continue to find people who let you down, or you have to do all the work, or you have to earn love, or maybe it's about money. No matter how much you earn, no matter how hard you work, there's never enough money. You just have barely enough. And it kind of seems to just keep getting replayed and replayed over and over again. That's because there's kind of a thermostat inside of you. And I talked about this before, a psycho-cybernetic mechanism. Another word you could say is a self-image. Another thing you could say is a self-concept. Why is this important? Your self-image is constructed by your beliefs. It creates this box. Now, at one point, it's important to understand that's how you stayed safe. It actually kept you safe with its structure. But now, if you're watching this video and you want to make a change, it's most likely creating a prison or a cage. But now it's blocking you from the greater experiences you're really wanting to have. So that amount of money, that abundance actually exists right now. That potential exists. Either literally it already exists and you can't perceive of it. Because another thing about this box is you can't perceive with your senses of anything outside of this. Or maybe things start to shift and you gain a little momentum, and no matter what, you end up right back in the box. Because this is a thermostat, it's a set point. It's how you see yourself. It's an easy example of this would be an amount of money. So no matter what happens, a big chunk comes in, or maybe you get another job and you're working really hard, but after a while, you still have the same as when you started. Maybe it's 0, or maybe it's negative. And in regards to romantic relationships, no matter who it is you meet, no matter what their background is, it always ends the same because of this set point. Now, this set point, again, is the structure of your belief system. This is who you identify as. Now, the thing you have to understand is that secure, loving relationship potential, that amount of money exists, but you can see it exists outside this box. So changing your beliefs is what's going to allow for these walls to start coming down and actually include this new version of you, which is going to be constructed with your new belief system. So if it was this easy to just change a belief and you can start perceiving of the opportunities that you really want, why don't we just do that? Why don't we just let it go? Well, let me break down what happened and how these beliefs were created, and then we'll get into how you can start to change them. So if you've watched other of my videos, this is going to be very familiar, but it's so pivotal. And when I started to understand this, I started to be able to adjust and adapt and start to dissolve my old, long-standing, what felt like just concrete beliefs. So what you got to understand is when you were growing up, whoever it was that was in charge, could have been a family member, your parents, whatever. They were basically this God-ified figure. They knew best because your safety depended on their competence. So even sometimes in very traumatic households, the child is trusting this person, even if they're abusive, because this child still is physically reliant that this person knows better. Regardless of what your dynamic was, you have to understand how this person saw you and thought you should be heavily influenced you because you had to relate to them for your sense of safety, for your food, your shelter, your water, anything. You couldn't do it alone. You needed them. So you checked in with them and basically had to understand, okay, who am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to act? And specifically, maybe you were a little bit of a rebel and you're like, screw it. And you kind of raised hell. And then you got negative reinforcements, or maybe you got alienation, or maybe you got, physical or mental abuse. So you learned that you had to adopt or adapt. How do I need to be? When I express myself or when I share my needs, I'm too much. So this literally is what starts to create your belief system, what you believe to be true about how you can be in the world. When I go for connection, people only connect with me when I get an award or when I get a really good grade. That's when I feel that love. Oh, okay. So to get love and affection, I must work for it. I got to earn it. So again, because this child mind doesn't have an understanding of how life works or what's going on, the complexity of human emotion, you start to create these beliefs because these are your experiences. And even if that is not the intention of the adult, or I repeat, even if that is not the intention of the adult, it only matters what you perceived, who you perceived you needed to be, how you perceived you needed to act, and that basically creates this belief system. Now, if you've never taken the time to go back, okay, why don't I feel worthy? Why don't I feel valuable? Why do I feel too much? And start to understand, oh, okay, maybe my caregiver growing up, they were emotionally not available because their capacity, they had shit from their background. I don't know, but I thought it was me. I thought anything happening outside of this, God figure, I thought that it was what I lacked, what I did. So again, you create this belief system about yourself, and sometimes maybe it's positive. Okay, for me personally, when I'm an athlete and I win, then people like me, then I'm accepted. It helped me to create a very determined and persistent and big picture, large goal person that's in my capacity. But with the distortion of that's how I'm worthy, that took years to heal and understand myself more in that moment. So now let me show you how to change this. The first step is very simple. The first step is to become aware that this is existent. What are those beliefs? Do you feel like you have to earn love? Do you feel like you're not worthy as you are? Do you feel like you have no value? Can you start to understand, oh yeah, I do relate to my sense of worth, or I do relate to my sense of safety based on how someone else, because at first this was your parent, but that same dynamic could be your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, could be your friend, it could be your boss or any kind of coworker. So can you start to become aware? The very first step in changing a dynamic is to become aware of it, because if you're ignorant to something, if you're unaware and you're blind to it, there's no way you can actually start to make shifts. So can you start to become aware of the belief that you have? What is it? And again, the thing about beliefs too is they're like a tree. There might be different expressions of it. Again, I'm only worthy if I'm an athlete. I'm only worthy if I show up and have value and go save my friends or find somebody who's really struggling. Well, that stems down to a belief that I'm only worthy if I do something, that who I am isn't worthy, it's what I do. So that core belief is what was showcasing through different aspects of my life. But when I started to become aware of it and aware in the moment, neuroplasticity, the power of it is becoming aware in the moment of when you're doing that old automatic choice and making a new choice. Yes, it's a very, very simple, but that impulse physically, because that's also where that memory is stored, that belief, part of it is stored in your body. Part of your body might feel afraid that if you don't abide by that belief system, that you're in danger. So the awareness, as well as developing a ritual or a practice that helps your body feel safe and stay regulated in that moment. So if somebody doesn't call you and you're aware of the belief of, oh, they're leaving me, I'm going to be abandoned. Oh, okay, I don't know what they're doing. And you basically take all that energy and you start to keep it with yourself. You start to become aware and observe yourself in that impulse and start to take the energy into that wound where really that belief is coming from. The second thing to change any belief is going to be to shift your perspective, shift how you relate to it. Again, with this dynamic that I'm too much, that when I ask, when I share, it's too much for people. Maybe it's I'm talented, but when I express my talent, my parents or even a teacher said that I was making other people feel bad. I needed to tone it down. What are other people going to think of me? I'm going to make them feel not good enough, whatever the thing is. If you can start to shift that perspective to, again, if you asked for an emotional connection with a caregiver, you wanted to go bond with them, and they're like, why would you do that? Can't you see I'm an adult? I'm busy. I don't have time for that. Oh, what you asked for was not too much. It was absolutely appropriate. You were speaking up and you were asking for your needs to be met. So the change of perspective would be, oh, well, I never thought about the fact that the emotional capacity and availability of this caretaker, this person, That might have been the limiting factor. So all this time, I've been living my life based on the idea that it was me. What if I start to shift and understand as an adult, there was a lot more to that situation? And again, this idea that I have to earn it, I have to work for it. Oh, that actually reveals a lot more about the caretaker, about the environment I was in. The people around me thought that they weren't worthy and that it's what we did. Wow, I started to live through that distortion, but I can see, no, it's not what we do, it's who we are. And Gabor Mate talks a lot about this, and I highly recommend Googling him. He's done a lot of recent interviews because he just released a new book, and the way he explains it is absolutely incredible. So as you change your perspective, as you change your relationship with that early on dynamic, wow, I was a kid. How beautiful I wanted to connect. I had so much to give, but in that moment, that person wasn't available. And so I thought me giving was the issue. And actually, I can see and I can relate to that situation differently because it was actually the person not available to receive it. You can do this about anything. And the more and more you get clear on what is in your box of beliefs, the more you can start to change your relationship with that early on experience. As you change your perspective in that, it will change how you current day relate to whatever's going on in the dynamics of recreating this belief. Now, the third thing is actually, it coincides with changing your perspective because it's going to be actually creating that new belief. Okay, well, what would it mean if you were there and you were emotionally giving and wanting to connect and that person wasn't available? Actually, I am worthy. Actually, I do have a lot to offer. Actually, people who are emotionally available, they will be excited to receive. So with that new belief, what would that look like? What would it mean if this one way that you felt and experienced as a kid, you can start to see it with a different viewpoint of your adult mind and all the wisdom that you've gained since that experience. The more and more you start to see it from a different way, it will naturally create that new belief. You'll start to see the availability of the totality of who you are and the limitation of that dynamic from what you needed. Some beliefs can be instantly shifted because you re-reason and you shift your perspective with that early on event. Other beliefs might take different layers of understanding and shifting to really break free. More and more awareness you have of yourself early on and understanding these dynamics that other person and where these beliefs were created, maybe they didn't actually know best, and at the time you assumed it, and now you can make a new assumption and update what is in that box of beliefs. The more you do that, the more you can start breaking down these old beliefs to create a new sense of self. Look at this. Wow, we're not even a box anymore, but it's going to include the experiences that you want and you really are worth. The only reason you feel you aren't worthy is because of those early on things that were told to you, that were shown to you, or that you perceived of. As you learn that you can let them go because they were never true, you can open up to the experiences that actually align with your true worth and start living that life that you deserve. You want more of a breakdown on how to become present in that moment and make a new choice? This next video right here is going to show you how you can be that ideal version of you now, and that one thing that's usually missing from people's experience, that when you do it, it will change your life. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you haven't done so already, join the community, and I will see you on the next one.